Hey everybody, Guy here from Chit Chat. Thanks for continuing to listen. We love that you're here. I just got done with a really fun conversation with Chris Dolney. I've known Chris now for a lot of years. We got to know each other through the chamber, which is where I know so many people, in the business community. In general, I love people that are passionate about what they do, and they're passionate about our community. And Chris is he's ultimate in both of those things. He really loves what he does at FaceTime, and he really loves this community. And I just had fun. I had a really fun time talking to him about business in our community and what makes our kind of particular community great and special. So I'm excited for you to check it out now. Thanks for listening, everybody. Chris, thanks for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here, Guy. Thanks for having me.
Okay, FaceTime Business Resources.
Correct.
I have two main questions. A, will you just tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah.
And then why did you name your business after the feature that iPhones have where we get to talk to each other with each other's faces?
Right.
And go.
So that's less of an exciting story than you think. But I'll start out with what we do, right? So FaceTime Business Resources, we sell product. We sell four main product categories to serve businesses and organizations in our community and beyond. And they are commercial print, so everything ink on paper. Promotional products, so things like pens and cutting boards and drinkware, etc. Logo wear, which is screen print and embroidered hats and jackets and T-shirts, all those kinds of fun things. And then signs and banners would be our fourth category. So a lot of yard signs, event banners, trade show displays, things like that. So those are our product categories. We do a little graphic design to support that, but we don't lead with design. We're not an ad agency. We support those folks on the product side. So we've been in business for, it'll be, what year is it now? It's 2025, right? These are the things I lose track of.
Yeah.
We'll be in business for 14 years this summer. So
Wow.
it's fun.
Congrats.
Thank you. The name story is not that cool. I have a long history in this industry, and I felt like actually interesting thing. St. Cloud is like a hotbed of print. At least it has been historically. There's a few less now just due to economic changes, but there's a lot of printers here. But I've kind of felt like folks weren't getting the attention and the expertise that they deserved from whoever was selling them their print, right? So that's where I came up, kind of started developing the business plan. And I had no idea what to name it, right? And honestly, this is 14 years ago, so FaceTime, like that everybody knows about on their phone.
It wasn't even a thing.
Wasn't really a thing. So I didn't name it after that
I
by
know,
any means,
I
but
know.
people get confused. That, Facebook, et cetera, they don't know what we do. So I just was working on the business plan one night in my townhome, and the news or something was on. And at the time, Edward Jones was running a commercial that said, shouldn't you be getting more FaceTime with your investment rep? And the word stuck with me, and I was like, well, that's what we're going to do. It's FaceTime Business Resources. So it's not that lovely of a story. It's a simple story, but that's where the name came from.
Did you send a check to Ed saying thanks?
Yeah, no. I probably should have. I had him over for dinner or something. Come on, Ed. Yeah.
Cool. I think in my very earliest days of Chamber, you were very, very involved, and you were one of the first people that I kind of got to know in the business community in St. Cloud, which growing up in the area, you kind of feel like and understand the community, except when you're not running a business, there's an entire like sea of people that you don't actually know. But then as soon as you jump into a business, like you just get to learn your community in a whole new way. And that was me. I was just finished college and was here, wedding photographer, and jumped in and you and I became friends. And I remember learning a kind of a fun business lesson from you and from your business model. I did at the beginning. I just didn't understand it. I didn't know much about business at all. But I didn't understand that. So you don't print yourself,
right?
You just use the same printers that I could call.
Yes.
But because of the bulk in which you buy their services, you have negotiated a better rate. And so someone gets FaceTime with you. They don't actually have to manage the relationship with their partner, with a printing partner, and you can actually get a better price and also make money on it. This was like kind of like the industry of like being a human middleman, where you like meet somebody's need while you're engaging with people that are doing the thing that you aren't actually doing yourself. I didn't know that this was a thing.
Yeah.
And it was a fascinating thing to kind of like learn about from you.
I always love having this conversation, and to be honest, I could go probably like the next 120 minutes and talk to
Yeah.
you about this. I won't, because nobody's going to listen to me that long, and you'll doze off, and I'll just still be talking, and I won't even have noticed. I love having the conversation and telling potential clients, existing clients, hey, listen, because we're no secret about it here.
Yeah.
I don't have a printing press in the garage or an embroidery machine in the basement. Like, we don't produce anything in house. Absolutely nothing. We buy from what I call our production partners,
Yeah.
because they're more than vendors. We need them. We need to partner with them and trust them, and they need to trust us. And we buy from printing companies, for example, locally, regionally, nationally. And yeah, there are a couple of things that allow us to buy at a much better rate. One is our volume. Two is that those printers have a relationship with us, and they know that what we're sending them is accurate and it's going to work, and they're not going to have to
It
mess
can
around
go
with
to
it.
print without
Can
them
go to
sending
print.
it into their designers.
Correct. And then thirdly, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So because of the breadth of production facilities that we work with, we can place our clients' specific project with the printer that best suits it and most efficiently prints it based on quality, turn time, price, all of those things. So, the printer, just due to how production works, that probably does the best job on something like business cards is probably not the same printer who's going to be most efficient on your catalog or your forms or your envelopes, right?
Or your T-shirts.
Or your T-shirts, right? So we say convenience of one source, cost savings of many, because we're bidding it out for you. It's saving our clients tons of time and almost always reducing at least their overall print spend. So that's what we do every day. We're a project management company, is what I say. We don't have a product to sell, right?
Yeah.
So we're sales, customer service, project management. That's what we do.
Do you know what the largest trucking company in the whole world is?
That's a good question. No, I don't.
C.H. Robinson. I
Yeah,
mean, this stat could be a
true?
little old. Yeah.
All right.
How many trucks does C.H. Robinson
I'm
own?
guessing zero.
Zero.
Right.
Zero. I mean, the same kind of thing. It's like they're not actually the ones driving the truck, but they have built a system that can help communicate between people that have a need for truck and people that have truck.
Right.
And they're, a big computer, basically a big computer software, and then the relationship that goes with that to make that seamless for both sides.
Yeah, folks that don't deal with trucking every day don't know where to start and what to do, and they're probably going to spend too much, and it's probably going to take too long. Same thing with folks that don't buy print every day, or honestly, even if they do buy print every day, they know how much time and money they can save themselves, their company, their organization, by working through someone like us. And sometimes there's a little we got to prove it, right? There's a prove it period. It's like, well, wait a minute here. Couldn't I just call the printer? I'm like, yeah, you could call the printer, but you're going to spend an extra, 2 or 3 hours dealing with quotes and specs that you don't understand necessarily and things like that. And then probably actually pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's fascinating. I love small business in general. I think it's so fun. And I love conversation with the people that just figure out a different way to hang a shingle in our community. And I hope that listeners, there are so many different ways to do it. You could take a hobby like I did, right? You could take a hobby and you just keep doing that thing until someone wants to pay you to do a hobby. Yeah. Or you could look at an industry and say I could jump into that industry and make connections for people inside of that thing in a unique kind of way. And then a thousand other ways to do that. And so I hope that as you're listening, if you have an inkling of an idea, even if it feels weird or odd, or maybe there isn't a niche for that yet or something, just look into it and try to figure out, because there are just so many different ways. As long as you show up like you did, right? As a human being, working with people, treating them like humans, there's just about, and you can make a buck if just about doing anything, as long as you bring that kind of humanness to your world.
If you can deliver some value, and like I said, treat people well. Our slogan is people are good, treat them that way, and we really try to deliver on that to easy things like customers and employees, but also to our suppliers, production partners, the community, even our competitors, right? We speak positively about them and we cooperate and help out when we can, in most cases. That's, and if you can bring that, lead with a message like that and actually believe it, not just something you say, right? Be genuine, and folks are attracted to that, right?
For sure.
But beyond that, you still have to to deliver the goods. You have to deliver a value. You have to do a great job. You have to build the relationship and build the trust. And that's what that's for. You take that thing from prospect to customer, right, who buys from you once, to client who buys from you regularly, to then advocate who not only buys from you regularly but tells other people about it. And that's where we want to take what's the next step in a client relationship and how do we build it.
Okay, so you're 14 years into FaceTime, And what do you think the next 14 look like for you? What are you
Yeah.
what are you trying to do?
So we're in growth mode. We do have we have an office in the Brainerd Lakes area as well.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
What,
and
what year did that start?
we've been up there for about 4 years now.
Okay.
And I could actually use a person up there, by the way, if anyone wants to sell print and promo products and do business development in the Brainerd Lakes area, and you've got a little bit of industry experience, we want you.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to say that because why not? And then we also have a really active and fantastic sales rep down in Rochester, where we actually work in a little co-working space there, which is a great way to start. So we have a presence there. So beyond that, growth mode is to add folks like Kayla in Rochester in some other markets. So it's to add sales folks and grow our footprint, and then let that transform how we do business, at headquarters too, and on the operations side, because that'll allow us to add folks that can specialize, right? And continue to deliver to clients.
So you don't need someone necessarily in Brainerd. You need someone wherever they're listening.
Correct.
Who have those things that you're looking for that are hungry to jump into a marketplace and.
Yeah, we're a really, really, like I mentioned, sales-focused organization, and everyone on our operations side exists to support sales.
Yeah.
So it's a really happy, let's hold hands with salespeople kind of thing.
Yeah.
From the operations side, and that's who we live to support. So yeah, I mean, if you're in Sioux Falls or Madison or Des Moines or Fargo or pick your market, and maybe you've sold a little print and promo in the past, maybe you're not really stoked about something that's going on in your professional life now and you're looking for an alternative, reach out to FaceTime Business Resources. We'd love to talk. Yeah.
That's sweet. So you're in growth mode, and I guess, your office that you guys have here in town, how many people work in that office?
Yeah. So we're really efficient.
Yeah.
It's myself.
Yep.
I have an office manager whose name is Carly, who is actually, due to family things, transitioning out right now.
Okay.
So we're pretty close to a hire, though, to replace that,
Yeah.
which is great. Although I shouldn't say replace her. She's going to be irreplaceable. She's the first person I ever hired 13 years ago now.
Yeah, wow.
So it's an interesting change. We have a delivery driver in that office, and we have a full-time graphic designer, but she doesn't physically work in our office. She did when she started with us, but she actually lives in Ohio. Her name's Dana, and she's fantastic.
Cool.
And so she's also been with us for close to 13 years now, and she's an absolute gem. She does great work. Our clients absolutely love her responsiveness, and that she knows what she's doing. So
That's cool.
that's what we've got. That's what we've got for operation staff in the office. We're a lean machine.
Yeah.
But we'll probably we do a lot of something that's growing for us too is fulfillment for clients, where we stock quantities of things and fulfill as needed. And so we're looking at space and some folks to maybe manage that in the hopefully not too distant future.
Cool. What do you love about running a business for the last 14 years in central Minnesota, in St. Cloud?
Yeah, okay, there's a lot going on there. That's a big question because the number one thing I love about running my own business is the flexibility. I mean, I'm a single dad with a teenage now daughter. We know when I started to shoot Paige,
Yeah. How old is Paige?
She's 16.
Wow. And driving?
Yeah, well, and driving.
All right.
Good at it too. Like
good.
actually teaching her to drive was one of the most fun things I've done in my life. It was one of the best things we've ever done together. Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, as you would probably remember her. She would attend chamber with me once in a while when she was like 4, right, and hiding behind my leg. But owning my own business gave me the flexibility to pick her up a little early from daycare or whatever, spend some time with her, and then get back at it at 8 when she went to bed. Yeah. Right? Because you can kind of craft that a little bit. And so to me, that was a huge benefit. Also just the passion of growing something for yourself. And I don't mean to say I know what I'm doing all the time, because I definitely don't. None of us do. Us small business owners, we're making it up and hoping
Build it while you
sometimes.
fly it.
Build it while you fly it.
We say
Absolutely.
that all the time.
So lots of mistakes there, but at the same time, to have some faith that what you're doing is better in a way. Maybe if you're trying something different like we did, we're selling these things in a way that other folks for the most part aren't. Yeah. But to just really have that faith and belief that what you're doing is better and is going to work, and then kind of being able to prove it. That's really motivating for me. And then the other thing I love, I remember when my first employee, Carly, when she got a new car and when she and her husband bought her first house, and I thought it felt so good to be able to wow, her role here is helping her grow her life, and it's so much fun to see whether it's our salespeople or office staff being able to do things in their life because of their position here, or get involved in the community, or give back to a nonprofit. Yeah. so St. Cloud, what about central Minnesota? Yeah, I mean, it's people in this town and around it. The very first thing when I started my business was join the Chamber of Commerce. Like, I actually think I wrote the check for the chamber before I even had my certificate of assumed name back from the state, right? It was the first thing I did. And
how did you know to do that? Like, how did you know to join the chamber?
Sure. So in past careers, I worked for a printing company in Alexandria for a long time, which was like step 2 in getting into this industry. Long story. But one of my jobs there was business development, and we were very involved in the chamber there. And I actually got to be great friends with Connie McKay, who at the time was the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce there. We're still friends. Her son Mike is one of my best friends in the world, and we've been to Vegas together, right? So we're friends. And I just learned how important that was, and the relationships that you build, and the people that you meet, and how you start to know that person. Well, I'll tell you a funny story about this. I'll come back to that. So that's just how I knew this was important, and especially with our clients not necessarily being the general public, right? We're business to business, not business to consumer. So, pretty much everyone that attends chamber, owns or works for or does marketing for or whatever, a company or an organization of some kind. So that's where my potential clients are, especially when I started. So I needed to meet some people and meet them fast. So yeah, I attended chamber, and I'll never forget this. The first person who talked to me was Roxanne Ryan, who works for Wacosa.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit semi-retired now, but it was at Sam's Clubs where this chamber connection was held, and she talked to me in line for breakfast, and literally before we got to the front of the breakfast line, she's like, "Give me your card. I'm going to set you up with Ann Kennedy, our marketing coordinator there." And I had a meeting with her in the next few weeks, and they were our first real customer, not the company my dad works for, not my uncle, but someone who wasn't obligated to give us a try. They were our first one, and it was from chamber. It was just from going there and talking to people and telling your story, and just not being afraid to ask, "Hey, let's grab coffee because I want to hear about what you do and tell you about what I do." There were other really key folks too who kind of mentored me early on. Brenda Eisenschink from IntelliConnect. She had coffee with me just to talk about what she learned in starting her business. Carl Kane, who at the time was at Duet Internet and Phone Company. He's done some other things since then, but he too. There were just so many people who were welcoming, not saying, "Oh, new guy, we don't want to talk to you." No, they were like, "New guy, let's learn about you. Let's talk." And then you meet people. Here's another one of my best friends now, Dr. Tom Johnson, who owns Infant Eye Care in Sauk Rapids, weighing out all the time. But when I first attended chamber, and I think this is funny, the guy was always dressed to the nines, and he would always get testimonials at the end, and I'm thinking, well, this guy must be a big deal, right? This guy, he's so high above me is what you kind of think in those levels, and then you kind of get to know somebody, and it's like, oh no, they're actually just like me, and that's across the board. Pick your industry, pick your level, and when you think that person is so their level is unattainable, or they wouldn't be friends with you or whatever, it's totally wrong. They have the same questions and insecurities, and they've been where you are, and they're ready to talk and make friends too. It's across the board.
Story is the driving force for us here at Switchboard. Story is also the reason that Chit Chat exists. We tell stories of the people around us through photos, videos, branding, and websites. Story helps us find meaning, and it draws a community together, and we would love to help tell your story. You can find us at www.switchboard.mn. We would love to meet you. We'd love to talk with you and learn more about the story that you are trying to tell, and how our story-driven marketing tools can help you communicate better. Can't wait to talk to you soon. I think one of my favorite things about chamber is that everybody there is kind of rooting for you.
Yeah.
If you're new to chamber, and then the mic, every time the mic goes around and you've got 10 or 15 seconds to kind of introduce yourself, at the very beginning, even for extroverts, it can be nerve-wracking because it's you're there representing your business, you're there because you're trying to grow. There is this little pressure that you maybe feel to do it well or whatever. And what I always tell people when they're new and a little nervous about it is literally this entire room is rooting for you.
Yeah.
Because they, just 6 weeks ago or 6 years ago were in that exact spot. They know what it's like, and they're here because they're trying to grow their thing. And you kind of respect people that are hustling in that same kind of way. And so chamber is a really neat way to meet people and grow and learn that these are just normal everyday people. They go home to a spouse, they go home to kids, and they have things that they're trying to do in their life. And
absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of democratizing,
Very much so.
Yeah. It's fun. And so you have these other locations that you have salespeople. How much time are you spending in those communities? Do you need to go?
Less than I should.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, less than I should. And that's something that needs to be addressed. Like, I haven't been down to Rochester to see Kayla. Kayla's our sales rep's name there. And she is so good. Like, if I could just spend a little more time with her, we would just be killing it down there, and it's going well anyway. But so I need to start building that into my schedule more. I go to Brainerd more often because we don't have a person there.
Sure.
So I go up there more frequently.
And are you doing like Brainerd Chamber and stuff?
Yeah, we're a member of lots of chambers. We're a member of the Rochester Chamber too, and others around here. But so I try to attend their business after hours thing up there, and they have a fantastic chamber. Matt Killian, who is the director there, is just a dynamite guy. So so theirs is really good too. So we do that, and then we talk a lot about chamber, and that's important. That's where you and I met. But there also is a point, at least for my business, where like some of it kind of steps beyond that a little bit, and as we grow. We're working more with folks that don't necessarily attend chamber too. So, but the interesting thing is the way we got to those folks. It almost like if you trace it all back, it almost always comes back to someone
Through relationships.
Through a relationship
that you developed.
Yeah, I was initiated there. Yeah, so that's cool too. You never know where those things are going to lead.
Yeah.
One of our largest clients right now, which is actually based in Des Moines, Iowa. We have that client because of an individual who I'm friends with, doesn't work for the company anymore, but who I met at St. Cloud Chamber, who started working with us where she worked at the time. It's in the senior living world, and later on that business was bought out by another. A larger company out of Des Moines, and they started working with us too, and they're now one of our top 5 clients. But but still, like I kind of forget sometimes where that came from.
Yeah, I think. I mean, for us, as I look at Switchboard's revenue, the vast majority of it, maybe not necessarily just through chamber, but it's all just this like slow relational kind of build. And even the stuff where you're like, oh yeah, that person, like we started working with them. We didn't know anybody there except the person that we started working for there knows this person who ultimately recommended us. And when you show up somewhere just over and over again, in the right kind of way, over time you can develop, I think, lots of clients, and forget lots. You can develop the best clients.
So that's another thing that's so important, I think, is as you grow. When I started, I would have done anything for anybody for a dime. Like, I mean, I remember not kidding, like driving like 70 miles each way for a $50 business card order because the person wanted to meet face to face. Well, I didn't make any money. We definitely lost money on every step of the way on that process. But I would have done anything for an order. And I don't mean to downplay that. Like, we'll still go way out of our way for our clients. So I don't want to downplay that. But
it is different at the beginning.
There's some challenging folks to it sometimes, and I don't mean to be negative, but there are those people in the world who like to make everything hard and maybe are never quite always satisfied, et cetera. And you work with them early on, but then later you don't have to, or you learn to work with them differently. And actually, was just talking with Carly, our office manager, and saying we have the best group of clients right now who are appreciative and kind and easy to work with and just a joy. And we're just at a really good place with who those people are who we work with every day. They're wonderful, and we love them, and I think they love us. Because they tell us that they love us. So it's really great to be in that space right now. Yeah.
Have you ever had to fire a client?
Yeah.
And do you have it's uncomfortable and awkward where you just realize like, oh, we're just not the right kind of fit. What your needs are don't overlap with what we can provide for you.
Correct.
And again, that could be relationally, whatever that thing is. Do you have a trick for that? Like what?
No, there's no trick.
No.
It's really hard to do. I still really struggle with that because, as a business owner, it's hard to, one, turn away the revenue side. Two, know there's that person's probably not going to have a good feeling about that relationship, even if you are sending them away with the best of intentions. And to be honest, it usually starts with frustration, right? Probably on both sides. But even if you try to wrap that up as positively as you can, they still may not be telling people great things. And so I struggle with that. But it's also about protecting my employees and their day, right? And if there is a client who is a rock in their shoe every day, then they got to go. Something has to change, right? So you try to massage that relationship a little bit and manage it to where it works better and set a different expectation and set a different tone. But there are some times where it just doesn't work. And the best thing to do is just be like, I'm really sorry. I don't think that we can, meet your expectations.
Yeah.
We're not a great match, whatever it is. And here are some folks who maybe can.
Yeah.
And like, who do I want to send them to, right?
Yeah.
Who don't I like today? No, I'm kidding. But why don't you go deal with that? No, I'm not. I wouldn't do that too much.
And the truth is, hopefully there is somebody out there that like will serve them well.
Yeah. Correct.
Their personality or their workflow or their, whatever the peculiarity is, like there are people that specialize in that thing. And so
correct.
if we can help get you to somebody that does that thing way better than we do, you're going to be happy and we're going to be happy. And it is not easy to help people see that if they have it made in their mind that they would like to use you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's just like any other kind of relationship, right? So personal life relationships, et cetera. Like when your gut says this project or relationship or whatever, at least for me, like I can trust my gut on things like this. I try to trust my gut. Says this isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
So there's a red flag here.
Yeah.
What is it? Why is my blood pressure up on this? Maybe we need to not take on this project because if you take on a project that you have red flags on and gut feeling isn't going to go well, and you just see all these stresses and you see all these challenges. Maybe it's turn time, maybe it's not our expertise, maybe it's don't trust the supplier, I don't know, something that you don't like, and you do it anyway and it goes poorly. The client's not happy and you probably lost money and like this didn't work for anyone. Nobody wins. And if you're just kind of maybe make that decision to say not a good fit, go here, client's happier and trust you, we're not spending a whole lot of wasted time, et cetera.
Even like one of the things that you said, which is so true, when you tell somebody no, right, and you kind of send them down the line, you run the risk of them being in the community and you don't exactly know how do they portray what that no was like, right? Like even if you do it in the right kind of way, you can't quite control that perception and what they say.
Right.
And so like sometimes it feels like that pressure, like, oh, because of that, like, let's just do this thing.
Right.
But the flip side is what you also just said, is that if that project doesn't go well,
way worse.
It's so much worse because now they can say, and on top of all that other stuff, and they missed their deadline, and you're like, I didn't want to use that supplier anyway. You're like, whatever those things are, like they have this added thing that they could say when you knew it wasn't the right fit.
Correct.
And there is something kind of empowering when you know your clients and you know your business and you know your team, to start to realize like, man, I know when we're the most successful. And you're trying to sell from there. Like I'm looking for the opportunities where my team can absolutely positively shine. And when you kind of see those and you're able to kind of like cut them off at the pass, and like, we're going to avoid that one. It is kind of empowering
very empowering
to do that thing. It's good to do it for your people. It's just fun to know about your business. Like, oh yeah, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 14 years ago, I would have absolutely said yes to that, and the next 6 weeks would have been really, really hard.
100% right.
I'm gonna sleep really well tonight, and for the next 6 weeks because this isn't going to be there.
Yeah.
But it takes some hard knocks. You gotta.
Yeah. And there are still times when I don't listen to my gut, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't we just say no to this one? I knew it.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't. This doesn't happen very often, right? Like listeners, this doesn't happen with us very often. Don't let this scare you. But we'll be honest. Like we're just really pride ourselves on being honest about expectations and what's a great fit and what isn't. And honestly, because of how we work, a lot of things are a great fit. So those things that aren't are a really small percentage, and it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
But you remember them when it does.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately,
I think you can't be in business for 14 years without having, like walked through a good handful, of those things.
Correct.
There's also like the opportunity cost thing of like, again, there are 100, when you feel that little check in your soul of like, man, I shouldn't probably do that. But we say yes for there's these other metrics that show in like, oh yeah, payday's coming, like whatever these things are, it's like, yeah, we probably should do that. But every time you say, and I have to tell myself this all the time, my business partners need to help me with this. I'm kind of a yes guy. Like
Same.
I just want to do it. I want to figure it out. My default position is yes, and I need to be convinced of no. I married the opposite. Cassie, she's just much slower. Her kind of default position is like, no, like let kind of convince me of it kind of thing, right? And they're both really valid. They're both really valid perspectives on how to run a business. And we kind of need each other. But every time I say yes to something, everything in a business, every time you say yes, you're saying no ultimately to the thing that's could have been immediately behind it.
Right.
That's a better fit for you and a better fit for your customers and clients. And so just remember, as you say yes, You are Guy Magno. Listen to this. As you say yes, you are saying no to the thing that comes right behind it.
I know. We kind of went with the theme for a while, and sometimes and it's dangerous, but I like it. But really early on, like I said, we would do anything for anybody for a dime. The thing was, the answer is always yes, and then we'll figure out how.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, but it's really dangerous because sometimes the figure out how doesn't always land the way you want it to, right? Like, how are we going to land this plane? We took off, and the landing gear isn't working, and what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So that there were some crises early on. We have way less crises now, but and we still like to have that attitude. Like, we still like to really be there's a way, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there was a way. Let's find it. Let's get it done for our client. And very, very often that's realistic. Because we have multiple production facilities to work with. Somebody has room for this project, and we can make this happen in most cases.
And a decade plus of problem solving.
Yeah, correct.
So like now when they come, they're not.
I've seen this now.
It's
right?
not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You said at the beginning, we said whatever it is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I totally. So Switchboard is 10 years old, and I totally understand that. At the very beginning, when you say stuff like that, I think what you're actually saying is we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We were.
And
And that's the deal. It's like you're trying to figure out, like, I think in those early stages, like once you get a handful of years down the road, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what you're good at. You know what you're not good at. You like, again, it's all of those trials, right? That it just takes time to figure that thing out. But in that early stage, you're trying to figure out even what you do. Like
Absolutely.
we're in this industry, but inside this industry, there's a million ways to go about it. And so, yeah, I say yes to it because like maybe we do that. Yeah,
maybe we can.
Maybe we can do that.
Maybe there's a revenue stream here. Maybe this is something I didn't think of yet, right? But here's what I have really found a number of times is every time we've tried to step out of our 4 core product categories, right? And we tried to do some marketing management for some folks, and we've tried to refer to credit card processing. We've tried to do some different things early on. But every time we did that, I mean, it was kind of a fail, right?
Yeah.
And not that it was a total fail, but it was kind of a fail. Like, it pulled so much attention, the opportunity cost thing, from the things that we do know that we already do well.
Yeah.
So I've really come back to when these things come along, like, does it fit? These are our 4 product categories.
Yep.
This is our core of our business, and this is what we do, and we do it well. If it's not that, then we don't do it. So that's a challenge for me to not. And it's not to say no to opportunities. Like I'm growth minded, all of those things, but I also know that we can't do everything in this space. Like, we're in this marketing world. There's a lot. There's a lot you can do. But let the experts do things. Like, let's partner with folks and refer to folks and have positive relationships. And the more you can do that too, the more opportunity there is.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, at Switchboard, we have our key, like the key things that we're looking for in an ideal client, and we have a list of these things. And so ideally, we want all of those things to be true, right? But I think more important than finding clients that like meet all of the things is just to know that this is the best. This kind of client with this kind of structure and this kind of system, this kind of view of how to think about creative. Like, these are our ideals, and even like location, where they are, how far away, all of these are kind of, we have these all noted. And it's not that we only say yes to clients that meet all of those. It's that we know to mitigate if one of those things isn't true of a client, we know that it's something that inside of our system we're going to have to mitigate around. But the only way that we get to do that is by like knowing, like you said, like we know what we do. And so when an idea comes and it doesn't perfectly fit, is there some other metric? Is there some other reason we want to say yes to this, even though it doesn't meet this one? Like, one of a specific one is within 60 miles. Like, we really like to work really close to home. We like being home. We love central Minnesota. And so when a client is beyond 60 miles, we just know that our system has to navigate around that. And there has to be a really great reason why we're going to say yes to that, because it doesn't meet our ideal client, right?
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't mean that we say no, because we are growth mindset. We do want to grow.
Of course.
And more than anything, we're looking for the right people. And so if we can amend our system heading into that relationship, amend it on the front end and know that we need to like maybe change how we do a few things because they're a little further away, you can still have a really great relationship, even if it isn't quote unquote ideal, but it's because we did that work on the front end to know what it is that we actually want.
Yes.
And I think that kind of like even self-assessment in your business is super, super important.
Now, work on the front end with a new or growing client is really important. It's for us, it's less about qualifying if they're a fit for us, just because we can work with so many different types of businesses and organizations very
Yeah, right.
effectively, sizes, industries, et cetera.
Yep.
And we can talk more about that in a minute too. But the more I can learn up front about how that business, organization, potential client operates, the better we can be set up to serve them
Yeah.
individually,
Yeah.
right? Because there's not a cookie cutter client for us. Some of them have a marketing team and they already know what they want. Some of them don't at all because they're a very small business and they need us to help fill that role for finding things and
Yep.
giving ideas. Some of them need graphic design services. Some of them always send files. But some of them have 300 employees. Some of them have 3, right? So there are different ways in which we
Yeah.
want to work with folks.
Yeah.
And so the more we can learn about how a client currently operates, what's working for them and what doesn't, the more we can know how we can effectively work with them, fill gaps, help them out, et cetera. So
Yeah.
it's and make it work for both of us, right? This needs to be a great experience
Yeah.
for the client,
Yep.
and it needs to be a good experience for us, right? So,
Yep.
that's important to kind of qualify some of those things.
Yeah, it's cool. Does Paige have any interest in following
No.
in the family biz?
None.
None.
And don't get me wrong. Like she'll come in and help out. Like
Yeah.
we do a fulfillment packaging project that I pay her to do, and she comes in and fills these boxes and stuff like that. And she does things like that. Now that she has her license, I think she'll probably fill in on deliveries and stuff for us. So she definitely does things with us, and she tells people about our business. And I even have a little commission structure. Like if someone comes because she talked to her friends' parents what we do,
Yeah.
and we get business, like I give her a little kick, right? So
A spiff.
Yeah, it's a little spiff for doing that. And like, why not? I've got to pay for her stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So why not make it profitable for me?
Yeah.
But it's important that she learns how that all works, and it's been kind of eye opening for her. But now I honestly I don't think she's going to choose this. I don't. And who knows? Like she's 16. I think about how many times I changed my mind
For sure.
since I was 16.
Yeah.
And so life can take you different places, and this is certainly an opportunity for her.
Yeah.
But I don't see her doing it. She loves kids so much, and I see her doing something working with kids in some way. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
We do with our kids. We do a wage. We don't do an allowance.
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as free money.
Right.
This doesn't work. You work for it. You participate in an economy of some kind, and then you're rewarded with a check, right?
Right.
And so we do a wage, and our kids earn their wage by making sure their room is cleaned and doing their chores. That
the
kind
basics,
kind of stuff. And even the dollar amount I think that we give per week, it's not like a low number, but I don't know. It feels like a decent number. But here's the deal: we have these really strict rules about like when your wage comes in, half of it goes to your long-term savings for your first car.
Yeah.
And so it feels like similar to what you said. Like I'm gonna pay for some of her stuff anyway.
Right.
And it's like I want to help them with their car someday anyway.
Yeah.
And this is a way that we can do that on the front end,
Yes.
where they actually get the money. It belongs to them,
They're
and they
earning it.
earned
Yeah,
it.
right.
They got to experience what it was like to work inside of our family and to receive that money. And then that money will be sitting there waiting for them to, to buy their first car or whatever.
Yes.
But it feels like I'm going to do some of that anyway. I'd like to be a part of buying their first car someday in some capacity. So why not do it now and try to teach a little lesson with it?
It spreads it out a little bit for you too,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
all
that's
of
right.
the things. All of the things.
Good. Yeah.
Well, sweet. Chris, I'm really thankful. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
I love talking to small business owners. And I love that you do something drastically different than me. Like we approach Central Minnesota and the business community in these different kinds of ways. But I resonate so much. I love the way you think about your clients. I love the way that you approach what you do. And it's really, really fun. And I hope wonderful things for you as you continue to grow. And hopefully, maybe because of the podcast, you'll find someone really, really great looking for a job.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Willing to go
I
to
know.
some
I know.
fun marketplace for you.
I appreciate the opportunity, guys. This has been a ton of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We close every podcast with an unpaid ad. Is there someone, something, or some idea that you think deserves a little shout out?
Yeah, actually. And I was trying not to take too long with this. I'm pretty passionate about saying positive things actually about our community.
Cool.
Whether that's downtown or St. Cloud as a whole. And my reasoning here, I don't know how long I have, but my reasoning here is that
It's open.
So I've been in St. Cloud for like 15 years, right? But in there was about a 3-year hiatus up to the Brainerd Lakes area and Nisswa and living up there. And about a year and a half ago, I came back here. And I kind of missed the lakes, right? And you hear, when you're in St. Cloud, you hear negative a lot. unfortunately. And sometimes I was even thinking and saying a negative about St. Cloud, and I didn't like it. And so I started really trying to shift my perspective about that and think about all the good things that are happening in St. Cloud, and sharing that, and telling people. And it actually overwhelmed me how much good there is in our community, whether that's things like arts and dining, or whether that's outdoors, or whether that's sporting events, or whether that's the people, there were just so many things, great businesses. So I'm trying to really actively shout out a lot of positive things about what's happening in St. Cloud. A few weekends ago, I hadn't been to the Gnarly Bard Theater before downtown, right? And they had a jazz show. So we got together with some friends, and first of all, we went over to the Speakeasy, the Blue Goose.
Yeah.
And that place is just wonderful.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Gnarly Bard and saw a show. And then 2 nights later, we were with someone whose birthday it was, and we went to the Old Brick House for dinner, and then went to the Pioneer Place for a show. And I'm like, you could see a show in this town every night if that's what you want to do. And now, whether it's sporting goods, we got the St. Cloud Rocks, we've got lumberjack hockey, we've got all kinds all year round, St. Cloud State, Husky hockey, all these things that you can do. There's the Quarry Park, and there's Beaver Island trails, and there's bike trails everywhere. And you can just shoot over to St. Joe, which I feel like is St. Cloud Metro, and catch great restaurants and breweries. And we were at the cidery the other night for a Michael Shines concert, Milk and Honey Ciders. There's so much good happening. Look what's happening on the east side with development. It's great. It's so cool. There's so much good happening in our town. And I think that as I don't want to necessarily say leaders, but as people who are involved in our community, I think that we need to start saying it. I think we need to start posting our positives on social media, and I'm trying to do that. And I think that if others who are involved in our community would really start to just sing that song, I think it's really important to not get sucked into, St. Cloud negative this, St. Cloud negative that, because they see it and I don't like it. It's actually a really great place to be.
And the good so dwarfs the bad. There's so much incredible that's going on.
Look where we are right now, right? I mean, we're in this little podcast studio at this awesome co-working space in downtown St. Cloud. It's wonderful. And downtown, there's so many great restaurants. There's salons. There's places like this. There's great stuff down here, and throughout our community. That encompasses St. Joe, like I said, Waite Park, Sauk Rapids, whatever. I think that we need to people need to participate. If they think there aren't things to do here, they're not trying at all.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll throw for my unpaid ad, I'm gonna just I know you touched on Sauk Rapids, but I'm gonna throw the little downtown Sauk Rapids community into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the last handful of weeks we purchased Rock Creek.
Yeah, and congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks. And being like in that little downtown now too, in that little community, it's just its own vibe, it's its own culture, it's its own people, and I'm here for all of it. It's so fun. Like it is. It is absolutely incredible. And like you said, St. Joe, its own really incredible little unique community. We just a lot going on.
Like if you want dessert, like if you want something sweet to eat in this town, I mean, there's Christine's Cheesecakes, there's Jupiter Moon Ice Cream, there's cookie places, there's everything you could possibly want. Yeah. It's great, and it's not that far to go. You can probably bike to most of these places. It's great. Yeah.
Well, sweet. Chris, thanks for coming. Really, really appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks for having me, Guy. Appreciate it.